And now I can officially introduce the, I don't think it's presenters or the people who are going to be running the whole thing. Well, today is the first webinar on ParaArchery this year. This year, we've had others in previous years on different topics, but there's Mandy. Mandy, welcome. Mandy Griego saying hi to Leah. Anyway, so she's saying hi to Leah. This one is on a very, very special topic. I think we're very honored to have with us here 3 archers who have won medals at the Para World Championships. We have a Paralympic champion, Jason Tabansky, who won the gold medal. He was included at the last minute, and he went to the Paralympics and won the gold medal, and that was wonderful. We all enjoyed that, watching you, Jason, on television, those of us who couldn't be there. And the purpose of this webinar today is to have our top archers in the Americas, para-archers, talk to our potential para-archers or people who are already para-archers, coaches, National Federation officials like Trina Roberts, who is the Secretary General of the Bermuda Archery Federation, hear the experiences and listen to the experiences of these top 3 archers as para-archers and what archery has meant to them. So Jason will be running the whole thing, and of course the other 2, Leah from the U.S. as well. She was the world champion. I think it was 4 years ago, Leah, or 2 years ago. I think it was 4 years ago. And Kevin has just won a gold medal in the doubles at the Para World Championships in Korea. He set a new Pan American record of the Americas in the 50-meter round with 7:07 recently in Mexico. So in fact, we do have great archers with us today. So Jason, please, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Well, good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. And Sergio, thank you so much for the invitation and the honor to be able to host this and share our experiences with people out there that, are going through something similar and looking for something new in their life that's going to give them a new purpose. And for me, I'm very, very passionate about this subject because it's something that means a lot to me. It's changed my life completely. And for those of you that don't know my story, I'll go into it just a little bit. I'm from South Texas. We call it North Mexico, where I grew up. And actually, we're down here right now in the valley. Whenever we get off the seminar, a group of friends and I that have a new archery academy, we're going to go teach a new introduction to archery class for people. So we're trying to spread the sport to everyone. But adaptive archery, para archery, what it's done for me is I joined the military when I was really young. I was 17, left home, traveled the world, and I was living life to the greatest. And unfortunately, I suffered a spinal cord injury in 2015 that left me in a wheelchair. When that happened, it changed my life completely. It rocked my world. I had a very fulfilling life where I was playing sports. I played rugby. I played semi-pro football. I CrossFitted. And I still kept up with my military duties. I used to fly as a crew member on helicopters and was in love with my job. All I wanted to do was fly since I was a little kid. So I have this great life, and then this injury kind of throws me in a big loop, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life now, what my purpose is going to be. I'm going through the retirement process of the military, where I've lost my job, I've lost my ability to serve, and just going through a little bit of a dark time in my life. I was going through my rehabilitation at the spinal cord injury unit here in San Antonio, Texas, at the Veterans Hospital, and I was introduced to recreational sports and adaptive sports there by someone who is very dear and a really good friend of mine now, Jose Laguna. And as we're going through sports, he signed me up for this tournament called the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, and it's held every year in the U.S., Puerto Rico as well. And it's all veterans in wheelchairs, from amputations to spinal cord injuries to all different types of mobility impairments that keeps them in a wheelchair. And as we're going through selecting what sports I wanted to do, he's mentioning air rifle, bowling, uh, 9 ball, trap shooting, and then he says archery. And when he said archery, I was drawn to it because I used to be a hunter. So I've already been kind of introduced to archery, but I had no idea what target archery was. So I said, you know what? I'll try it, but I'm probably not going to be good at it. I have no balance. I'm in this wheelchair. There's no way I can shoot a bow and be competitive at all. I was very fortunate to have two friends there. They are now almost like family, that turned around and looked at me and said, "Hey, I don't ever want to hear you say you can't do anything. We're going to teach you how to do things different. It's just going to take a little bit longer." So they found a bunch of gate belts and strapped me to my chair, strapped a bow to my hand, and taught me how to shoot. And I go to this tournament and I wound up winning. So that just motivated me to go to the next one. So I do really, really well in the next one. And that's the point when I turned around and told my wife, you know what, I think I found something that I can be good at, and that will give me um, a little bit of purpose and direction in my new life. Well, little did I know that 2 years later, I was going to start traveling with the U.S. team and competing internationally, and um, you know, just launching my archery career in this new world. And once I traveled with Team USA and went to my first tournament in Czech Republic, I was hooked. That was it. There was no turning back. The camaraderie in the archery world, meeting people from different countries, being able to share experiences and share um, just life in general with other people that are going through something similar with me, was something that just drew me to it and wouldn't let me go. To this day, I always say that archery has the best people in the world and the best community, and it's true. I mean, I'm very blessed and very fortunate to have archers in my life that are now family. I have 3 of them that are very special to me here with me today. Um, I've been able to go through my career progression, from starting out and being very frustrated with not being very good at it, to progress into being okay, but I'm getting better at this. I'm decent, and always picking people's brains, going to tournaments and talking to different archers that I admired, that I used to watch on TV or used to watch on YouTube. And now I get to compete with them, and I go and talk to them and say, "Hey man, how do you do this? How do you do that? How can I be better?" And to see these guys share their knowledge with me, and not be very apprehensive or defensive, and say, "Well, no, you're my competition. I'm not going to show you how to do this." Or they want to improve the quality of sport. That is a seed that was planted in me and is now growing, because I want to do the same thing. I want to share the sport with people. I want to share adaptive archery with people and show them that your disability is not going to stop you from doing something great. Archery is one of the most adaptive sports that there is out there. You can put anybody in it, and there's proof of it. If you just go and watch some of the shoots now, you've got folks that have no arms, folks that have no legs, folks that are completely paralyzed in their hands and their legs, that are still finding ways to shoot, and not just go out there and participate. We're going out there and we're competing. We're putting up scores, like Sergio was just saying a little while ago. Kevin shooting in the 700s, that rivals able body scores. There's a level of para archery that people have yet to see. And we're hoping we're going to get more exposure with things like this webinar, uh, competitions that are being broadcast to the whole world, so that they can see that para archers, we're coming for them. We're putting up scores that are up there, and that are elite level scores. But it all starts with you know the people being introduced to the sport. If you know somebody that might be interested in ParaArchery, or somebody that's going through a hard time, go out and get them out to the field, get them out shooting, reach out to folks. There's all kinds of great information in the World Archery Americas page itself. There's Facebook groups where you'll find coaches that have been doing this for a long time. You'll find archers that have been doing this for a long time. Um, the best thing that could have possibly happened to me was discovering ParaArchery. Um, Now I get to travel the world. I get to represent my country, and I get to have fun with my friends. Just like Sergio was saying, we just got back from South Korea. I got to watch a lot of my friends do amazing things. Not just my U.S. teammates, but friends that I have in other countries. And I get a lot of joy in seeing people succeed and have good stories, to be able to share with the rest of the world. So, uh, you know, talking about success at World Para Championships and success in para archery, I'm honored and so happy to have one of my good friends, KJ Polish, join us here. And I'm going to turn the floor over to him and have him share a little bit of what para archery has done for him.
Thank you, Jason. That was it's amazing, man. Just traveling the world with you, watching you win the gold. I was sitting in the stands like a little kid up there crying for my big brother, and it was just like amazing, just sharing those experiences and the emotions that we went through the whole year, traveling together, competing, and the trials, and to watch it all work out and all come together is a amazing plan. I didn't win the gold medal with you, but I was a part of it, and that's history right there in itself that, you know, we could look back on years to come, and that was moments that we all had together. So that's an amazing thing about, para archery and what we do. It's not just about ourselves individually or together, but the people we meet and the impacts that we have made on people's lives and the changes that you make in the world. And me, in my case, I got hurt whenever I was 16 years old. I did shoot archery before I was a para. I was a young up and coming pro archer in the United States. And for me, like in Jason's case, we was the same. My world turned upside down at a young age. And I got in an automobile accident, and next thing you know, I'm paralyzed, and like I thought my life was over. Everything that, I hoped for and dreamed of as a kid, all my dreams are shattered. And I remember telling my surgeon, he was like, "What are you going to do in life now?" I'm like, "I'm going to be a professional archer." And he was like, "Okay, let's get you better first." And I'm like, "Okay, sounds good to me." I'm like, "If you fix me, I'm going to get you your first bow." And the funny thing is, my parents own a sporting goods store. So I'm like, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to take you up on that." Well, moving forward, 6 months later, my surgeon had a bow. He actually come down and shot with me a little bit. And as Jason, I didn't have no balance. So we had to figure out different ways to be adapted to figure this out. So I had like a ratchet strap, I think, with like a just some kind of metal pole holding my back up. And so I built it that, and I progressed. And, a year later, I was in Vegas at the biggest archery tournament in the world competing. And I ended up doing really well. And I'm like, moving forward in life, that was a motivation for me. I'm like, if I can do it, anybody could do it. It doesn't matter. A lot of people in life, archery for me saved my life. And like I tell people that, and the amazing people I've made friends with, and I feel like family from other countries, other avenues of the life, whatever they did, this para archery and adaptive archery that we've done has been amazing. And like Leah over the years, we call she's crazy, we love her to death, and like, she was one of the first people that I got attached to whenever I started out, when I shot my first Paralympic Games in 2016. I was probably the wild child coming into a new game, and she was like, "Hey, this is what we do. This is how she like I shot archery my whole life, but this is the amazing thing about ParaArchery whenever you come into it. Like some of the people, she was very welcoming. She come in, she made me feel comfortable. And, we went to Rio, had an amazing experience, and like, we did some amazing things together. So that's a cool thing about the sport of ParaArchery. Just it doesn't matter what lane that you're in. If you shot archery before, if you started later in your life, we all come together as a group and we all build off each other. Doesn't matter the experience. Like, yeah, I was probably a higher level archer at the time as her, but I was still unexperienced at the new avenue of this lane. And she was very comforting and helped me out with that. And, I'll love her forever for that, and I just was talking to her the other day. I'm like, when are you going to get your bow back out? We miss you. Come on. So, things like that. And like Jason's and other, my teammates, Ben, is pretty awesome. We had a pretty amazing moment there. We sat there after my last arrow fired, and we kind of just had like a kind of a smile, like a grin, like this was an amazing moment. So moments like that, on the line and off the line, that's what it's all about. It's like it's not just about winning, but it's about building moments together and living life, knowing that it doesn't matter your disability or capability. There's always someone out there to help. Like we help me, Jason. There's several of us on the team that constantly, like, these are our competitors. Like I was in Chicago this year, and my friend from Costa Rica was having an issue with his bow. Like we're getting ready to shoot a match against each other, and me and Jason's out there. I'm like, so I'm working on my Spanish. That's something I've been working on. I've been working on my Spanish classes and that. So this is other stuff, that you learn and you meet these great people and you want to communicate more. So I've been learning Spanish, and Jason was like, he's like my number one from day one. So it's like I'm like, Jason, like I'm explaining what's wrong with the competitor's bow so he could translate it back because I'm working on my own competitor's bow that we're getting ready to shoot a match. But that's what you do.
Yeah.
Like it's not about, like we all come together even as competitors. And that's what's so amazing. It just goes to show you in the world that there's some amazing people out there, and us as a group of para archers and adaptive archers, it's so important. That's why, we could change. There's so many people in the world that we can inspire and change their lives. And, all of our voices need heard more. And, these three great people, I've known Scott also for what, Scott, 30 years, 25 years?
A long time.
I mean, it's been a minute. So it's like, it's just amazing the great friendships and camaraderie that you meet over the years, and the new people that you bring into your life that you didn't know, but you changed their life too. Unexpectedly, not trying to change your life, not trying to feel better than anybody, but just coming together as one. So that's the great thing about this. And, I'm humbled and I'm glad to be here in this webinar. And, I think this is something really special and great. If we could change one person's life and make an impact, we've all did our job right now. And, I'm sure Leah, I won't take up too much time. I'm sure Leah has a lot to say, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say because we don't know what she's going to say. She's a little crazy sometimes, but I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, but before Leah says something, I want to tell you, Kevin, and everyone, that next year we're going to have more tournaments in the Americas for the para archers. Well, Archery has approved what they now call the Para World Series, and there will be a lot of tournaments in like the indoor series, Vegas tournaments in Nîmes and all that. Now we're having a similar circuit for the paras, and there will be two of those events in the Americas. One will be in Chile, and it will be, I think, in April. And there will be one in September in Chicago. So those two, plus the Pan American Championships in Peru, which is going to be the qualifier for the Pan American Games in 2027. So we're going to have three big events, plus one that the Americans cannot attend because it's a South American the Para South American Games. For the first time, ParaArchery will be part of those games. And we've been allocated 54 spots only for South America. And those 54 spots have been the result of what the national federations have reported that they have in the area of ParaArchery, including the VIs. So it's going to be a big event. So for next year, you're going to have more opportunities, Kevin, to share with your friends in the Americas, and maybe you can practice your Spanish more.
Absolutely, I'm excited.
Listen.
That's
And now we are ready to listen to Leah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Leah, not JJ. I became a para archer when I was 50. I mean, that's the gamut. KJ was, and some of our kids are like young teens. I am also a soldier, like Jason was, and I got sick, so I have multiple sclerosis, and I realized that's not like a southern thing. That's very much a northern in the whole hemisphere thing. So what it is your body attacks your brain and your spinal cord. And I got it in the military. But I lived many years doing my thing. But in 2014, I lost my ability to walk and I was very impaired. And I too went to a wheelchair sports event. And we had to, you got to remember, I was 50 and chunky and old and scared. And wheelchair basketball? Yeah, no. Or do you want to do track and field? No. But they took me over to this archery field. Now, I had never shot a bow in my life, but I asked Randy Smith, what do I have to do? And she's like, just sit there. I'm like, sitting. I'm getting really good at sitting. So, shooting a bow, having fun, doing my thing. And she's like, you're pretty good at this. Would you like to come to another camp? And I'm like, sure. But what y'all don't know is I almost didn't take up para archery because when I got to that point, she told me I had to be classified. And I didn't know what that meant. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And Michael Lukow said, well, that means they're going to look at your abilities and your disabilities. And I'm like, oh, well, what group am I going to be in? And she said, probably a W1. And Michael said, means you're the most messed up. And I had just spent a year trying to build a new identity from a chair. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm tired already of people feeling sorry for me. I'm trying to build a life here. But Randy said, Leah, this is your opportunity. What you don't know is in the Americas, there has never been a W1 female that has performed at the level that they could be competitive. And if anybody can do this, it's you. Because, and I wasn't an archer, I wasn't even a good athlete, but what I am is stubborn and a rebel. Tell me I can't. Tell me nobody's done this before. That is a fire under me. She said, you can change the world by showing people, first of all, older athletes, second of all, women. So when I first started competing, I think all the way up until 2018, I competed in the men's division in the Americas. Only competed against men. And none of my wins counted because it was a special spot. So that's how I got started. But what archery gave me is an identity other than being a patient or a client or a participant or broken. I became at 50 an athlete. And that whole mindset of not being broken, of being an athlete, is life-changing because it gives you something else as focus. But it also gave me the courage to lead, to coach, to do the impossible. Because guess how many W1 women are in the Americas now? I don't know, but I would go over 10. Over 10. And when I started less than 10 years ago, I was the only one. And like Kevin and Jason said, coaches will call me or athletes will get a hold of me on social media and say, how do you do this? How do you do that? We don't gatekeep that. Not people who are really team players, because it isn't necessarily about your country. It's about changing the world's perception of people that are different. So, let me see. Perspective. Exposure to other countries, cultures, thoughts, and ideas. but it also gave me balance and structure in a time in my life when I lost everything. I lost my job. I lost my ability. I lost my ability to drive at that point. You know, my kids were growing. I was lost. I was free floating, but archery gave me that stability and that identity that I chose to adopt. But it also gave me opportunities to also represent the USA and to become a speaker and an author and an advocate. And what a lot of people in other countries don't realize, I was elected to the United States Olympic Paralympic Committee by able-bodied archers to represent them on the board. That I can't remember the name of the lady that is the president of USOPC, but she came up to me in Tokyo and she said, "Do you realize how life-changing that is? That they chose a pair?" I'm like, "Are you?" I literally said this. "Are you insinuating that a pair is less than?" Because that's what this sounds like to me. Like, "Oh, yay!" I'm like, "No, they chose me because they know I have the ability to advocate and speak up for them, and I'm not afraid. What do I have to be afraid of? At this point in my life, nothing. What's the worst that could happen? This is what it is." So, those opportunities and the ability to advocate. So I can't remember what they called it, team captain for several years. I also sat on the board for USA Archery as an advisory. Well, you know, again, that was push pull. Well, if we're just here an advisory concept and you're not going to listen to what we say, then why? Well, what do you want from us? We are not just placekeepers so you can check the box that you have somebody with a disability. No, we have experience, we have thoughts, we have, you know, championships. We have the ability to look at life differently because, you know, we also have people on our team that have congenital uh, challenges. They were born that way, but they're still challenges, and they've always been the person that is different. And sport, especially archery, gives you that. Because if I can come into a sport at 50, never having done the sport before, and a female, there's not anybody alive that can't. And it gave me, like KJ said, a family. Not the one where I was the you know, I have a huge family. I have 8 brothers and sisters. But once I became needing a wheelchair, I was the problem. Christmas. Well, we can't have it Christmas here, we can't have Christmas there. What are we going to do with Leah? I was the problem. When I'm with the para team, we're all the problem. We are a team of problem children. And that's what it gave me, is that I fit here. I'm not the only problem child. I might be the leader of the problem children, but I'm not the only one, and they get it. This is my spiel to people that are thinking about para-archery. You are not what happened to you or how you were born. You are not your diagnosis. I am not MS. KJ and Jason are not spinal cord injuries. They are athletes. They are men and they are capable, as am I. You are also not your physical appearances and challenges. People, like even when we travel, "Oh, how much, you're a wheelchair, you're a crutcher, I am not a wheelchair. I am a woman. I am a human being." So you are not that either. Don't let people label you. In the medical team, KJ was kind of alluding to that. I think because MS is fatal. It's incurable and it's progressive. So what my doctors told me is tomorrow will never be better than today. And they were full of it, because tomorrow is always better than today because it's not guaranteed. There are people that we've all loved and known that don't have a tomorrow anymore. You are not your prognosis. Don't let anybody tell you what your life is going to look like, because unless they've lived it, and even if they have, they don't know anything. You don't have to listen to them. Also, you get to write your story, and you're the author, and you write your story every single day by the choices that you make. And adaptive archery and sport gives you stability and balance to make good choices. We all know people who have had catastrophic illnesses or injuries that don't make those good choices, and life does not go well for them. But it is your story, and you are the author. You are in charge of it. It also gave me legacy. because I get to be remembered for who I chose to be, not what others thought I should be. And even now, I retired after the World Championships, and in the last 3 years, I've had 3 strokes. I can't even pull my bow back. But my legacy stands in the W1 women or any women in sport, especially in para-archery, that are competing now because they saw this old gray-haired lady shoot a bow and win. So when I won the World Championships, what people don't realize, my PB is a 603. And at the World Championships in Dubai, almost everybody above me was at least a 640 or a 650. But what they didn't realize is I can ignore anything. I can't shoot 72 arrows well. 603 is about as well as I can do. I'm old, I'm tired, and I'm hot in Dubai. So I think I was ranked last. But what I'd have is the ability to ignore things, which is why that whole video is out there where I thought I had more arrows to shoot, because I can ignore things. Because 15 arrows in an elimination, I had practiced this for a year. I knew I could shoot 15 good arrows. And that's because I'm old and I've, lived a long, difficult life. But people don't realize that. I wasn't the best archer, not by a long shot. What I was the smartest and the most driven. And I figured out how to make that work for me. So now I've had 3 strokes. I was telling Kevin, I can't even pull a bow back because my body doesn't know how to push and pull. It looks like I'm wrestling with an alligator. Yet. I can't do it yet. So I've started swimming and doing other things. But if I wouldn't have had my family and my team, to be honest, I don't think if I would have gotten involved in para-archery, I think my disease, I wouldn't even be here. I really, really think there's no reason I shouldn't have already passed. In fact, my kid calls me a barn cat because I have lots of lives. I just keep not dying. But I believe it gave me the will because in the long run, life isn't about you. We're all only here for a finite period of time, but what can you do while you're here? And every one of the people that are on this thing believe that. You all have something to contribute to somebody else to make their life better because it isn't about you. It's about what you bring to the table. And that's what para-archery has given me. I've always been bossy and talky and funny and smart, but I've never been a leader and an advocate until it became apparent that we needed one. And that's what it gave me the ability to do that. And that's probably the only reason I've survived these 3 strokes is because, well, I moved to Texas, from Wisconsin to Texas to be by Jay. So we could practice together and go to Paris. And that didn't happen. But it was who at my age, at that level of disability, moves halfway across this country by herself. I drove there by myself and did the whole Southwestern thing because I had the courage to do it because my team believed in me. And you know what? Jay needed me. He needed me for a practice partner, for another para that is at that level. That's how far we go for each other. And I think that's an amazing thing. And I think para-archery absolutely gave me the ability to change the world and to leave a legacy that me and my children are incredibly proud of. And it never would have happened. I would have just disappeared like everybody else. But I didn't. I'm still here.
Wonderful story.
That's all.
Oh, Leah, I'm impressed. I talked to Leah for the first time, face to face when we were in Chile, and she was waiting to be classified there. And that was I know difficult. Let's put it this way.
Yes.
But I was impressed to see this attitude that somebody, and Leah just mentioned it. She came to archery when she was 50. Most people, even able-bodied at 50, believe that this is the end of life, and
Yes.
it was not for you. And you were able to fight the fact that you were 50, you were able to challenge your disabilities, and you became the world champion. And I found now it was in 2022, Leah, so it was 3 years ago.
That blows my mind that 3 years ago I was #1 in the world and I won the world championships. And at first when I think of that, I think of I have a full-time caregiver. That's why I moved to Florida. My son is my full-time caregiver. I can't drive, but you know what I can do? I can swim.
Okay.
I can paddle. So since last April, I have paddled 67 miles because I can do hard things. I did it and I learned to do hard things in archery, and I've lost 67 pounds. Swim a mile, lose a pound. That I never would have had that drive if it wouldn't have been for my team. And I'm talking not just the USA team, I'm talking around the world that they think I can do hard things like hashtag barn cat. That's why I did it. So will I ever shoot archery again? I would like to shoot in Chicago, but right now I don't want to shoot my son. So, and he's the one next to me on the line and he gets scared. So we'll work on that. In the meantime, I'll just keep swimming and doing my thing and supporting ParaArchery in any way that I can because it literally saved my life.
Yeah,
That's all.
Aaliyah, and you have been inspirational as you, I mean, you three mentioned this, how inspirational some of the para archers are for the rest of the archers, not only the paras, the able-bodied archers. And after Leah retired, now we have, I think, about 4 or 5 women in the Americas who shoot
Oh, yeah.
in the W1 categories. I met with Tracy Otto, and when I was in Florida in April for the World Cup, and I heard her story, and she was so happy to have a baby and to have, rebuild her life. And
Right.
I mean, I presented to her the award as the best W1 archer last year in the Americas. And she was so happy to receive that. So people like you are, in fact, an inspiration. And I was in a city in Colombia called Valledupar, where we're having next year the Paris South American Games. I was there to inspect the facilities, and there's a club there only for para athletes, and they have para athletes of different sports, and they have a bunch of archers, and they're young people. And I talked to them, and some of them were there with their parents, and I explained to the parents how important it is for young athletes in general in para sports to sort of like do sports so that they can become more independent from their parents. And
Yes. So
yeah, go ahead, Leah. Leah, go ahead, please.
the top 3 archers are young people are Ephraim, I don't know how to say his last name, Jordan White,
Yeah.
and Kimi Garcia. They are all from the San Antonio area. And Jason and I and Scott have coached all 3 of those. And when they show up and their parents are going to get their arrows, oh no, no, son, you need, we'll make them the little quiver. You go get your arrows. Mom, we're going to show you how to spot your own things. It's the independence, and that only comes from older archers that are like, no, you are not incapable.
Yeah.
But those 3, like Kimi Garcia is the new W1 female for the United States.
Good.
Yeah. And then you have Ephraim. Ephraim competes at the college level, even across the board. He doesn't compete as a para. There isn't a class, but he does it. And we all know Jordan White was 15. So yeah, absolutely. And I think people in other countries in the Americas are doing that. And I think there's more W1 women that I know of at least 9 in the Americas. Maybe not all competitive.
But competing internationally, we have a lady from Colombia, one in Brazil, one in Chile, couple in the United States, at least 2. So we will have the category with more participants of the Pan Am Games, of the Para Pan Ams in 2027. You probably know that in about a month, we're having for the first time para archery at the Para Pan American Junior Games, that is under 21. We were very concerned when we found out that there will be archery in those games. We fought hard to get archery there. And we have 29 under 21 para athletes competing there from 9 countries. And that was, that's something incredibly good.
Done.
We had more pre-registered, but unfortunately, parents cause trouble. And there's a lady from Paraguay who shoots a compound bow. She lost an arm, but she shoots anyway, and she does it well. But her parents didn't let her go. We have another country, I think, with a similar situation, and we would like maybe to use this webinar and other webinars similar to this one, and more information that we can publish to really let parents know that what they're doing in the first place is selfish, and in the second place is preventing their children from living a life. I met with Monica. I don't know if you know Monica from Colombia. She shoots a recurve. Monica Daza, she's the best Colombian para archer female in recurve. And I met with her yesterday. He's here in Medellin at the national championships. And Monica has opened a club in her town. And she was telling me that there are young archers, para archers who have come to her club, and their parents have come with them. And there was a national tournament, and she talked to the parents and she said, "Don't worry, I'll be taking care of your kids. You don't need to come with them." And the kids were happy because that was an opportunity for them to get away from the, I would say, overprotection, which is, I think, logical if you see it from the point of view of a parent. But
Yes.
the sport, and you are living examples of this, have shown you that you can do things that you never thought you would be able to do just because you're now archers. And I think
You
that's
can
wonderful.
do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
You can do hard things. And yes, as a parent, I can see why they're very overprotective of their person, but they're also defining their identity, and that's not fair.
Yeah.
When you have young adult or kid identity, they get to decide they're not spina bifida. One parent said, "Oh, well, she's a spina bifida." No, she's not. She's a funny, capable girl. She's not spina bifida, or she's not an amputation or a limb difference. And I think parents they have to advocate so much for kids that have challenges that they begin to form their identity for them. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
You can tell them I said that. Don't do that.
Well,
I will quote you, Leah, no problem.
Okay.
the great thing about, not forming an identity based on deficiencies or disabilities or things like that is that you can impact a community. You can impact a community that's not used to it. You can impact a community that's never been around para athletes, and you can teach them that you're just as normal as them. I've been very blessed and very fortunate to have kind of embedded myself in a community, and I moved to where I live now because of archery, because of the archery community, because of the friends that I met out there, friends that are fully functional, fully able-bodied, that treat me as one of them. At first, there was the desire to try and help me with everything until they learned that, hey, Jason's going to be hard-headed and he's going to do stuff, and until he falls on his face, then we're still going to ask him if he wants help before we actually do something. And one of those huge influences, one of those big pillars in my community is one of my best friends and coach, mentor, archery guru, Mr. Archery himself, Scott Hamlin. And I asked him to come on this webinar to share his perspective of what adaptive archery has brought into his life as a shop owner, as a coach, and just as a friend in general. Because, at first it was just me, and then just like gremlins, somebody put water on me and we multiplied, and there was a whole bunch of us that him and the shop had to deal with. And I think they did a fantastic job. And we went from, somebody that came into a shop with a dream and a desire to just shoot archery, to him coaching me to win gold in Paris. So, Scott, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, thank you, number one, for allowing me to do this, because it's been a great journey with Jason, and actually all three of these folks on this call, I know all of them. Got a chance to work with Miss Leah a lot in my old shop, And I've known Polish forever. And I remember when he came down in this tank chair in the ASA shooting a 3D tournament, and it's not easy. The terrain and watching him progress over the last 10 years is shocking. But yeah, Jason's one of my best friends, literally, if not my best friend. We do everything together. And um, I've owned archery shops my whole career. A little bit of my background. I've been shooting archery for probably 45 years. I'm 57. I've been shooting since I was 8. Competitively, professionally for probably the last 25 years. I do shoot a different game. I'm an ASA 3D archer. It's my jam. But have been integrated with the sport of USA Archery, the FIDA type events, and the NFAA style events. I've been shooting those my whole life. And I've owned archery shops throughout my whole career. And my most recent one I just sold, but I met Jason there. And Jason rolled into my shop probably about 10 years ago now and said that he wanted to compete at the highest level of the sport. Well, if I had a dime for every time I've heard that from people, I could be really rich. And people don't understand the amount of work it takes to shoot at the level that these folks do. And even myself, as a professional, had not exposed myself to the para world. I learned real quick how hard it is for them. It's even harder. So the work is even harder. And then Jason has been a pillar of an example of what you have to do to get to the top. He pushed me to learn what he goes through. I always like to tell this story. Jason and I, I got a chance to develop a lot of things, like even physical fitness around what Jason goes through. And he told me one time we're at the gym, and he said, if you want to experience what I go through, sit on a stool and try to lift weights with your feet off the ground. And I'm gonna tell you what, folks, I'm an athlete, have been my whole life. That was eye-opening for me. But it was a challenge then. I got a chance to go and develop exercises and programs for Jason that could benefit him to help his archery that were tailored around someone in his condition. And it was not easy. It took about a year, I think. And Jason and I worked in that gym for about a year and a half, 2 years, and which helped everything. So it was awesome. And then, my background also is I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer by trade in the aerospace world. I got a chance to then go into product development. I have some great people around me that are fabricators. I've been able to develop a glove, not a glove system, but it's a wrist holding system for people who don't have really good hand function. And it works amazing. Working with Jason and working with, I think Leah, you and I have worked together. I coach another guy, Eric Lindsay, in the chair, and working with all those folks it's driven me way past what I always wanted to do, which was shoot professional archery at the highest level of the game. And I know Polish knows this in our 3D world. If you're not doing it every day in, day out, your skill level will suffer. Well, I'm gonna tell you what, my passion then became para, and I have lived it. I even had my archery shop when I moved my shop from one location to another. I made a low bow press area for Jason. I even put the little handicap sign next to it, so he could work on his equipment without help. Because let me tell you something, what he said a second ago, independent wise, there's nobody more stubborn than Leah and Jason. I'm telling you now. Um, to the point now that when I look at Kevin, when I look at Jason, when I look at Leah, Ephraim, I've coached Ephraim. When I look at Eric, I don't see them in the chair anymore. I just don't. I've adapted myself into their world so much that they're just people. They're athletes. They work their tails off, um, and I just don't see the chair anymore. And Jason reminds me of it all the time. We'll be going up a hill, and I'll go back behind him to help push him, and he chews me out. And I'm like, dude, I mean, because I want to help, And so the para world has changed my entire life. I got a chance to travel with Jason 2 years ago. Went to Dubai, went to Brazil. I got a chance then to meet other people from other countries, and I seen how much this is a terrible thing to say, but the para community worldwide seems to be kind of like the redheaded stepchildren. They're all shooting very, very old equipment. It's all hand-me-down equipment. I represent and work with a manufacturer now, Darton bows, Black Eagle arrows, and Conquest stabilizers. You can ask Jason. I've made it my mission to help as many of those people as I possibly can, to the point that my wife and I spawned a organization called Enduring Freedom Academy. Our mission is around veterans, para, first responders, and helping them experience archery, and then maybe if they want to take that to the next level, and I will help them get to the highest level of the sport that they possibly can. And that's my entire life mission now at 57 years old. Sounds crazy, but my professional career has taken a back seat. I still shoot. I don't do well because I don't have as much practice as I would like. But helping these folks on this call is my new passion, my new life dream, if you want to call it, so that everyone can compete at the highest level. Even, it's funny, I was in the box with Tracy Otto in Brazil in her finals match, on the gold medal match. And the poor lady from Brazil, she was shooting against, her release malfunctioned. My first intention was to go over and fix it because I knew exactly what was wrong with it. And I had to stop myself to think, wait a minute, I probably ought to not do that because we are in a gold medal match. And if she comes back and beats Tracy, it's going to look really bad on me. But that's what I want to do. I mean, I even talked to the coach after the match and told him what to do to fix her release. And kind of like what Kevin said, he's helping a competitor that he's got to shoot against fix his bow. And that's just archery. That's who we are. We, even on the professional ranks of the able-bodied, we help each other. We're dogged about points, and we'll argue for every line we can possibly get. But at the end of the day, we don't want to beat you on your worst day. We want to beat you at your best. And that's just the way we are. And the para community, I think, exemplifies that even more, even greater. And the obstacles that they overcome, I want to be a part of that. I want to help that. Jason knows me. I'm a maverick. I'll probably never sit on the board because I can't shut up, and I don't think there's any limitation. I'm the jerk who will call out everybody in the organization when they are talking bullcrap, because I want to change things for the better for them. Like we had a meeting with a guy the other day, and man, he says something, and I'm such an advocate of this. Jason always likes to jump on me because I say Olympics and not Paralympics. I don't care, man. You guys are Olympic champions. I don't like the fact that we classify it that way. These athletes should be shooting with able bodies in the same Olympics that they enjoy shooting at the same time, and not shooting separately. That's crap. What they do, in my opinion, takes more effort. It's more satisfying. It's funner to watch because we know what you all are doing to overcome what's been thrown at you. And it's an amazing story. It really is. So that's my life goal, though. I want to change the sport for the better. I want to help people and other athletes overcome their obstacles. I've learned so much working with Jason over the last 10 years. I mean, he is pushing me ever farther to change and to adapt and to realize and help. And it's been so much darn fun. The able-bodied guys, they're a dime a dozen. Man, they're all pros. They don't want to listen. They all think they know everything. But let me tell you what, these folks down here, they're hungry for the help. I want to help them. And like I said, for me, Jason is now literally one of my best friends. We travel everywhere together. We're here in Southern Texas today doing a camp. We travel the world. Hopefully, eventually, we're going to be doing that. We went to Mexico to do a camp for the junior national team that they have. And there's some really big things coming on the horizon. So my job over the next probably 10 or 15 years before I get really old and Jason's going to be pushing me around in the wheelchair, is to share everything that's in this head. I've got a lot of stuff that I don't want to take with me, and I want to help all these folks on this call. If they need it and they want it, we're here to do it for sure.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Yeah, Scott, wonderful. It's wonderful to hear from a coach, because I believe that coaching para athletes is very similar to coaching able-bodied athletes. The only difference might be in case you need to incorporate some of that adaptive equipment and you need to teach these athletes how to use it. But as you have all said, you're archers. You're not a chair.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because there's something else that I do differently. I used to coach high level baseball. I'm a collegiate athlete in wrestling. I wrestled in college. So I'm a high energy guy. And if there's one thing I did, like with Jay, that I think a lot of people, even Tracy, wanted me to help when we were in Brazil. I mean, in Dubai, I had some other athletes come up and say, "Hey, can you coach me in the box?" Because man, I coach. I don't sit there and just call arrows. It drives me crazy when I see these other coaches in the box, 12 o'clock, 10, 8 o'clock, 7. I mean, they're just calling arrows. Man, I'm coaching. Me and Jason have a dynamic relationship in the sense that there's a picture of me actually, I think when we were in Dubai and I'm down on my knees getting at his level, and I'm in a kind of in a lineman's position for NFL football, but I'm doing it so I can get on Jason's level to see what he's doing because I'm there to work. I'm not there just to call arrows. And so I'm fully integrated, and it's just one of the things that I want to see us do more as a community is get involved as a coach more than just calling arrows, because there's so much more to it than that.
Thank you, Scott. I think that you're falling in love with paras, and
Oh, yeah.
it shows, And I must tell you that I've been an international judge for over 40.
Uh-oh.
It's a special event. Was the Paralympics in Beijing, where I was the chairman of judges. So it was my first encounter with all the para archers in the world, and I was impressed by the quality of these people as human beings, in addition to, of course, their quality as great archers. I will never forget that. So we have a bunch of people here. I don't know if there's anyone who would like to ask questions or who would like to make comments on what we have heard from our top athletes and Scott, the coach. Any comments, any questions?
Yep,
Or
I
if-
definitely.
Yes, okay, Mandy, go ahead.
Hey, hi everyone. So I have two questions. I tried to work with the VA on an adaptive program several years ago. So this is for Leah and Jason. Is there like a magic keyword that you can speak to VA folks that will get them to be more supportive of the rec therapy programs? Because I had a really hard time getting anybody at the VAMC to, first of all, they wouldn't let us have the program on the facility at all. So I had another facility that I used, but it was pretty far away. So getting veterans out there was a challenge. I did just found them very not helpful. There was like one young woman who wanted to help coach. So I certified her as an instructor, and she was trying to coordinate like carpools and things like that. But we couldn't ever seem to get the VA to back it. So that's question one. And then, and this might be more for you, Sergio. Is there some kind of a primer that is out there that helps organizations understand how to set up a tournament with accessibility in mind? Because this is, Leah, I know you're laughing. Because I do this, and you guys know I do this. I get to every event when I'm the COJ, or even when I'm not the COJ, and I'm looking around going, how do you guys not know where to put things or what's missing or what? I mean, there should be like a really basic, like if you're going to have a para event, if you're not capable of thinking about this from the perspective of someone who needs accessibility, here's a list of things you need to cover. I mean, it's just like the most basic stuff of, you can't have hand washing stations that are foot pump operated and have the majority of your athletes in wheelchairs. That just happened in Chicago, and I'm just like, oh. So,
Mandy, that
anyway.
exists. There is a primer through, I think, USA Archery. That does not mean that they're going to use it, because it doesn't mean
Not mandated.
whatever. Yeah, because, or this is not
the adaptive?
The adaptive checklist.
Oh.
The Para Advisory Council came up with one, but
Okay.
you are right. And, in reality, they're like, you are 2% of the athletes or the archers competing at this tournament. So why would we change the whole field of play for 2%? And that comes, the only way that's going to change is by voices of para-athletes and supporters of para-athletes, but that exists. And as far as the VA, where are you at in the US?
In Albuquerque.
I can
Because
pair up with somebody that had the same issues here in San Antonio, and they were able to host introduction to archery events. I think it's monthly or bi-monthly on campus. So there is a way that you can get that approved, and I'll link you up with them.
Yeah, that'd be great. I ended up switching to another. I was working with Forward Flag, which is an organization for justice involved veterans, and so that was all through the Veterans Court, and that's a nonprofit, so that was easier to. But I really would like to get that up and going. So.
So in my rehab, I was in the hospital for months, and my number one rehab goal in my VA medical record is to shoot my bow. They had my kid bring my bow to the VA to figure
Nice.
out what I needed to do to pull it back. And that was after 2 strokes, and I was able to do it. We did it in the parking lot of the VA next to the garbage can.
Yeah.
You know, when I was only 5 feet away. So I think it also depends on leadership and educating VA leadership. And the way that's going to work for you is to get involved in, you know, VA adaptive sports is a big wing. And I think it has taken kind of a monetary hit right now, but that doesn't mean it can't be done because we do hard things.
Yeah. And it might have been just the rec therapy director at the time was against it, but we could not get. And then a beautiful gymnasium. I mean, it would have been great, but circling back to the 2%. This is where I think they look at it the wrong way, because just because somebody's not classified doesn't mean they don't need accessibility. Okay, so and I always go back to the very first time I met Tink when we were at the camp with George in 2019. And she was calling everybody tabs because we had all of the coaches were there, right? And of course we were like, well, what are you talking about tabs? She's like, temporarily able-bodied. And that has never left my brain. And so that's how we approach, from my perspective, that's how we approach every event, every training, every facility. You never know what somebody's dealing with. You never know what hidden disabilities people have. So there's no reason why, and this is also, you know, coming from the housing development world professionally, we have a universal access standards, right? Yes. So we just build everything for accessibility, and there's no reason not to. So.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, all the trash cans at the VA are foot powered, every single one of them at the VA.
Could you explain what VA is for those who don't live in the US?
Veterans Affairs. So we have the Department of Veterans Affairs in the US, and they're responsible for benefits, medical care, all those sort of things. So a VAMC is a VA Medical Center. That's like the big main hospital with all the services. And then they have smaller called CBOX, community-based outreach. But the VAMCs are usually huge and cover, you know, acres campus. So
you have to be a military veteran to use the Veterans Administration. That's your access. That's a part of your benefit of serving in the United States military, is that you have medical care for the rest of your life. So it's not civilian, it's just military.
Oh, I understand. Okay. Any other questions? Anything else? Thank you, Mandy. No? Well, I have to say thank you many times. I think we've had a wonderful webinar thanks to the participation of our great athletes and coach. Today, I'm going to be uploading this video, and I'm going to be sending an email to all of our national federations in the Americas and also in the rest of the world, indicating where they can watch the video. And yes, Leah.
Sergio, are you going to put it on YouTube? Because a lot of the people that I'm working with now have found ParaArchery by putting it in YouTube.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'm going to talk to the person who handles our social media, and ask her to do that. But in the first place, we're going to publish on our website and in our extranet, and then we will do that. That's a great idea, Leah. Thank you so much. So I'd like to thank.
Sergio?
Yes.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
was struggling to get off of mute when you were asking anything else. I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity that I was able to join and listen to this. As Sergio, I mentioned earlier, our nationals was canceled. And I was saying, you know, I really wanted to join this presentation because Bermuda, we want to develop archers in Bermuda that may have a disability that, as you mentioned, it could be temporary. You know, it doesn't mean that it stops them from doing sports. And so I'm glad that I was able to attend. I will definitely reach out to all of you where we need some help to develop this here in Bermuda. So if anyone wants to come to rainy Bermuda right now, because that's what we're experiencing in our winds, thanks to
Scott is volunteering. He's ready.
Scott is
Yeah.
volunteering. Okay, there you go, Scott. We really want to build this out. So we will be in contact with you. And, you know, we have a few of our, a few athletes that did other sports were injured in bike accidents. So that's primarily what we've been seeing. And rehabilitation has been archery. And, you know, and we're really trying to build that out so that we can have not only, we'll have para archers or tabs is how we're going to refer to them, you know. We want to have archers. That's the word I'm going to use. Archers of all abilities that are able to shoot here in Bermuda. So thank you again for this presentation. It was really informative and heartwarming at the same time to hear, you know, how you guys have embraced this sport.
Thank you, Trina. Well, for those of you who do not know Trina, Trina is the Secretary General of the Bermuda Archery Federation. She's one of our most active leaders of archery in general in the Caribbean. And I'm glad that she's here and that she is now able to understand better what para-archery is like now that they are embarking on the important task of having para-archers in her country. Thank you, Trina. Thank you, everyone. I have enjoyed the stories and the comments, and it is always great to see people like you anywhere. So probably I'll see Jason and Kevin soon next year when we have our tournaments. Leah, it's great to see you and to see that you're so good, so well, and yes, you look wonderful, Leah. Yeah, and you look great now that you've lost a few pounds. Yeah, I at the beginning I didn't recognize you, but then, oh, that's Leah. Okay, good. So thank you again, and have a wonderful rest of the weekend. And we'll be seeing you soon.
Thank you
All right. Thank you, everybody.